Banorte, el banco fuerte de México.
En Afflux Growth somos aliados para impulsar el crecimiento de las empresas. Configuramos nuestras soluciones financieras para atender las necesidades de nuestros clientes de manera integral, a través de arrendamientos y líneas de crédito.
Well, a very good afternoon and welcome back into our big class of the afternoon. $55,000, just over in fact, for this class. Jump-off class as a decider, and it is going to be a top class field for you, fun field for you. It's going to be 42 in all is the plan at the moment to go in the first round of the class here this afternoon. That rounds off our day one here in La Silla. John Perez, Gigi Carmen, a pairing that does like to go early. This is the 11-year-old by Bacardi VDL. A little bit quirky as she is, but she has certainly done a lot of winning. Very quick indeed. Jump-off class, as I say. So this is the first round of taking you towards that potential jump-off. Time allowed of 75. He has an early rail there for John, and this fast 11-year-old that's out of Carmen, in fact. And alongside me is Hannah Robson on a warm afternoon, but pleasant afternoon, as ever, with glorious surroundings. A little bit of mist coming off the trees, which is why the mountains are a little bit disappeared this afternoon. But we can see our horses and riders clearly. Hopefully we don't miss anything, and so we'll bring you as much as we can. John's done a lot of winning with this horse.
Yes, absolutely. He's jumped this horse in some brilliant competitions, done very well in the winning round and speed competitions at some of the major league legs previously, in Vancouver for one. Also, last year in San Miguel de Allende, he was first, second and third with this horse in two-star competitions, but of course he's a very experienced competitor and going very nicely for our first rider out.
Yeah, just got the going again down towards the end. Had a couple down there on the way, 70.72, an early rail for them at, I think it was fence 4 down there, and a second for John Perez and Gigi Carmen to start us off into this class. So what have we got ahead? As I say, 40 or so in the first round. Last week we saw Kyle King getting to the top of this class. We've got a lot of very good names coming in there, including Alberto Michin, Derek Kelly of Ireland coming up in a few moments' time with a very nice looking 9-year-old called Rockstar, through to consistent Mexican riders like Federico Fernandez, Canada with Erin Ballard, Mimi Goshman, uprising star for her, Amanda Derbyshire, well established as a British team rider as well and Grand Prix winner this season out of the United States. Last outings, big winners including Lily Keenan and Bliss Hears, who won the Grand Prix in San Miguel as well. Sean Jobin now, and Darius, the 14-year-old by warrant for the Canadian rider as part of the team for the Show Plus Northern Lights. And again, it's been a good step up for him into more of these big 5-star shows this season for the Canadian. Good opportunity for him for a winner down in Florida into the early part of this year as well. But two good finishes too with the teams.
Yes, he's been a great performer for the Show Plus Northern Lights. They've been going well. I mean, they've been going well. He just had 3 time penalties in round 1 here last week, but jumping to keep all of the fences up. Unfortunately, they've had some really unlucky performances that have just kept them out of the top 4. They've really just gone into 5th place based on time twice already. But Darius is a really good partner for Sean. They have been competing in the winning rounds and also in the 5-star Grand Prix at Toronto at our Major League show jumping leg there, just 1 fence down. And they jump very well at Tryon in the summer as well, second in a 3-star Grand Prix there. It's quite a long-term partner, one that Sean's had since 2018.
Gets the curve out to get the 7 to the double there. And Gregory Bordeaux is our course designer here this week from France. I think first time over here to Monterey, and good to welcome him. He's been building a lot of the very big shows out in Europe. Little skinny fence there, and again, not a lot to look at. Little gold banding on the middle of it, and a little bit of red, but the rest of it's a very matte black. Very hard to see, if you like, but that's part of the use of colour and that's testing the riding ability. Finishing on the 4, 74.45, and again it falls very, very easily as well. It's a light fence, drops down just on the 1 down for Sean Jobin and Darius for the Foxridge Farm stables. For the Canadian, good over there, but again, this is where he set you up. You come over the triple bar, and just if you're drifting a little bit, any kind of open stride down there, you're going to be taking the little skinny with you. Dara Kenny of Ireland, Rockstar. Really good-looking combination last week as well for this horse for the Heathman Farm. Newer one for them. 9-year-old Dutch-bred stallion by E-Star, which is back to lines of Big Star, and out of Ugaldine, which is back to Carnoot, bringing in another of the very good greys here for Dara Kenny. Ryan, who's been up in the world's top group for quite a long time now. Established his career out in the United States. Been over in Europe for a large part this season too. And wasting no time earlier on in a really tidy little turn around the triple bar and up to this line. Oh, and that falls very, very easily. Didn't give that much at all, but unfortunately it will count.
Yeah, this is an exciting looking horse for Dara, actually. He's got plenty of good horses in his string, and as you say, always been very consistent at the top level of the sport. But Rockstar is the horse that he rode on the Trailblazers team last week to get them a 2nd place finish. Did very well riding for them there. He was also 9th in the 5-star Grand Prix at San Miguel just a couple of weeks ago as well. But he's also had this horse in some very good competitions for podium finishes in Valkenswaard, in Saint-Tropez, and a 4th in a 5-star class at Aachen as well. So just very exciting, especially considering the relatively young age, and I'm sure one that will continue to see doing well at this level.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's great to get this horse out into these arenas, Aachen, as you mentioned, those big arenas, really to get the eyes open and see those big event stages for the future, and looks an exciting one to go forward with in the coming years. Finishing on just the 4 there, 73.66, a pretty light touch there at the Oxer, but just finishing on the 4 for Dara Kenny and Rockstar this time. Just see a little flick in front, it rolls, it wobbles, it just then decides to tremor and drop.
Sometimes just the lightest touch can make all the difference on these fences.
Just a bit of spin in there and off we go. Alberto Michin and Bugatti, the 16-year-old for Eduardo Leon. Good to see Eduardo with us here this week. Of course, joint organiser of that event in San Miguel a couple of weeks ago now. Bugatti being a many-time winner with also Willem Genn, who was the previous rider, and now in the hands of Albi Michin, who's taken over the ride. And, well, it's a winning horse, a winning rider. This could be a winning combination. We'll see. They've gone so well in the last few weeks. And Abby, who's been picking off a host of big classes from those in San Miguel through to back at Traverse City a month or so ago, maybe even longer than that as it was. It's all flying by.
It does fly by, absolutely, and especially considering that we're now on to the 8th leg of the series, which is quite incredible, really, to think that we're already on leg 8 of 10. 2 more to go, of course, after this week. But Bugatti is another pretty established combination for him. They've been in the top 10 times already this year. This horse was previously ridden by Willem Genn, and in fact was also ridden by Willem Genn on the Atomi Warriors team. Did well at Traverse City in the 5-star speed class, coming 3rd there. He quite often does well in these opening classes. Of course, it's a great opportunity to get the miles on the clock and really get the horses looking around the arenas. This one has seen quite a few different arenas over the course of the Major League Show Jumping Series so far this year. Just that one fence down then. The time 74.36, so the time allowed is 75 seconds, so he's inside that time allowed and just that one fence to clear. We're still looking for our first clear, but 3 4-faulters and an 8-faulter so far.
Well, take us on to Eduardo de Menezes now, and Giovanta C, the 11-year-old horse that came from Belgium. Dutch bred, in fact, by Zambezi TN. Out of Civanta for Eduardo, who finished second in the Grand Prix here just last week. And for him, going well there, and hopefully into another very good run here this week as well.
Yes, he did well here last week actually as well. In the two-phase five-star competition, he just had he had a clear and then just two penalties in the second phase. Also just had one fence down in the five-star 150 individual class as well, so jumping well there. Horse was actually competed by Marco Carli of Italy in Lier, that was in October, and then Eduardo prior to that had this horse competing in the five stars at Saint-Tropez. And then around Europe in various 2 and 3 and 4 star competitions. In fact, in September they were 4th in a 3-star Grand Prix in Saint-Tropez. Those are always very competitively run classes.
Yep, and looking like he might give us the first, the clears. Time allowed is 75, will be fine for that, and looking rock solid there. 72.09 gives us clear round number 1 for Eduardo de Menezes and Giovanta C. And so it is 1 on the board so far in our jump-off class here this afternoon. Congratulations to them. Again, keeps up the good, slick run of form as he's had so far, but a highly competent rider indeed, and looking forward to seeing more of him over the next couple of days. But this opening class, sponsored by Vector, now with a 1 clear on the score sheet with Eduardo de Menezes. Caitlin Campbell now. And Amir by Dubai. It is a 13-year-old Dutch-bred horse, gelding for Caitlin Campbell. Caitlin been establishing a very good relationship with this already well-proven ride.
Yes, exactly. It's been a partnership that Caitlin's had since May of this year, but the horse is, as you say, very established. It was previously ridden by Fabian Sejan of Argentina, and also competed by Alberto Michan, in fact, who, of course, we've just seen a few riders ago. This horse is the one that went to the Tokyo Olympics with Fabian Sejan, and also has jumped in Nations Cup with competitions with him as well. Caitlin took this horse to Angelstone tournaments, to our Toronto leg of Major League Show Jumping, and had a good double clear in the opening 5-star 2-phase class there at Angelstone. Of course, it's a much smaller arena and it's on a sand surface, so it will be interesting to see if she chooses this horse for the team competition, because of course that's running indoors this week, and so it's something of a more similar atmosphere to perhaps Angelstone than some of these larger outdoor arenas. It really takes a lot of adaptability and consistency across a number of different arenas and a number of different settings to do well consistently over this tour.
Yeah, just gets a little bit tight down to the skinny there. Good shot over the double. And going to have a little bit of time there. Just comes quite steadily round. 76.63, so going to be a couple to add for time too. 16 jumping and 2 time 18 in all for Caitlin Campbell there and Amir. Yeah, one of their shots at the Oxer there. Looking good over that. Ignacio Morin coming up with Franco 79. This is one we saw in our warm-up class a little bit earlier on as well. Nice 9-year-old by Franco 79. By Franco 79 by Firth of Lawn, to correct that one. And out of Connie for Ignacio from Argentina. Had a good run in Atomi as well in the 2-star classes, now moving up into the 5-star more with the horses. And finished 3rd in the Grand Prix here, back into April of this year too. Nice looking combination, and as I say, by Firth of Lawn, a little bit of a look of that horse, as you'd expect, as it was the father of this one. And that was a highly successful horse in Germany.
Yeah, they did very well here in April in the 3-star classes. 3 times in the top 10, a 3rd, a 2nd and a 6th for this competition. And they've also had some good wins as well. They had a 2-star Grand Prix win at Guadalajara in September. But then, yes, jumped in the 5-star Grand Prix here last week.
Yeah, it looks like they've been sort of moving up into their first 5-star Grand Prix, obviously being a 9-year-old as well. That's going to be the year for this. And just gaining confidence at this point. Always nice to see this time of year into the last few months, the last few throws of a season where they've got the horses really ready to go on to what will be their year 10, when they really should be going into the big time and taking on the big courses by then. But really good in development. This one's still clear at the moment, just coming nicely so far. Just got to be a little bit careful there. Yep, fine. Time-wise, might just squeak a little bit close, but might get there as well. I think they might just get there. It is going to be over the last with enough to spare. Yes, 74.86. I knew it was going to be tight. Just going on the clear there for Ignacio Morin and Franco 79. Eduardo de Menezes joined by him into the jump off so far. So Brazil and Argentina for our clears to date. So Ignacio Morin notching up another good round on a nice looking combination. The 9-year-olds here. We've got another one coming up as well with Cabo Blue and Patricio Pascal, which was his ride for the team competition here last Sunday as well. So gave that a good spin with this 9-year-old. And finished well there, of course. He was in battle back last year to ride the winning round in San Miguel, but this time around finishing into 2nd place here for the Trailblazers, and that was behind Team Helios. He was going up against Carl Cook with a well-experienced Caillou. He with the 9-year-old Cabo Blue now, which, as you expect, has got along, in fact, the mare line Chaco Blue.
Yeah, it was a great showdown actually to get the win in the team competition last week, and Team Helios just proving too strong, as they have been in 5 of our legs now so far. 5 wins out of 7 is pretty outstanding. But the Trailblazers are really coming up the ranks, and they've really gone very well so far in the second half of the season. Cabo Blue, another 9-year-old. And he's just stepping this horse up to the 5-star level now. It's previously been quite established up to the 3-star level, but this is the horse with quite the list of riders on the CV so far. It's been competed already by Jordan Coyle, by Nicholas Toro, by Nikolai Heinroos, and by Simon Nisri as well.
Just a little touch of the plank, and again another one just dropping for Patricio. I think he's going to just say, well, I think we've going to call it a day here, we'll see, but by the looks of that, maybe he's just going to take a circle back, just gathering things back up again. As I say, a 9-year-old here that's in its first season coming into these big classes. There we go, a little more confidently through this time. Nice stretch through the double, here this triple. Again, just got to be careful not to get too far forward, and otherwise that unfortunately is the result. Yeah, not quite, just getting a little bit stronger and not quite as relaxed this time out. As I say, it's always in a 9-year-old year going to be a few steps forward and the odd step back. Superb rounds at the tail end last week, but just not quite on their game today. But it's going to be the end of the round, I'm afraid, for Patricio and Cabo Blue. There will be many more good rounds for them, though, yet. 2 clears at the moment for Argentina's Ignacio Morin and Eduardo de Menezes of Brazil at this stage. Juan Jose Sandia Salgado and Tino La Chapelle for Mexico. 15-year-old horse. It's French bred by Malord Kataga, the gelding that's out of La Chapelle-Selsois. So on we go with the next of the Mexican challengers. Went well actually in Calgary this year up in Canada. Of course, through the summer, many of the Mexican riders moving on to the US and Canada, then back to the good tours down here in the spring and, well, I don't know whether we're calling it winter just here yet. But it's into November wherever you are in the world, but it certainly doesn't feel November-esque in terms of the weather we have here at the moment. But a wonderful group of shows down here, as we've talked about, not only the major league shows at San Miguel, 2 weeks here in Monterrey, but the likes of Guadalajara, Jalapa, all on that list as well. And he's gone very well throughout that list too. Actually won good class in Mexico City back in April as well, as part of a spring set of shows here in Mexico.
Yes, they've jumped well here in Monterrey in April as well, though that then was in the 3-star competitions, a 2nd place in the 3-star Grand Prix here. But they've had wins at Spruce Meadows as well, and actually a lot of top 10 placings there too, those coming at both 2- and 5-star level.
Just getting out to get the curve up to the line to 9A and B. Time-wise, just might be struggling a little bit. We'll see. Should be okay. Ooh, a little touch of the last year, 71.62. Juan Jose finishing on the clear, 71.62, and okay for time and into the jump off so far for the Mexican.
Quite lucky at the last there.
A little lucky at the last, but you know, you take it. Every round you're going to touch a fence somewhere in there. Leaves it in there, that's absolutely fine. I say, just felt a little steady in the middle part of the course, but was well managed all the way through to give him a clear. So the third of the clears so far, Mexico's Juan Jose Sandiaz Salgado, Ignacio Morin clear with the ride for Argentina, and Eduardo de Menezes and Jovan Tassi also clear. Juan Ortiz, Vintage, an 11-year-old. 11-year-old Holsteiner by Verdi Tien. Verdi, who's fast coming up as a well-celebrated stallion now, and of course the ride of Michael van der Vleuten that took him to everything from Olympic medals to World Championship gold, Nations Cup finals. The list was endless. Hugely successful horse, and now bringing on the next generation. The genes are carried through.
Yeah, this is one of his newer rides, Vintage, and it's one that he's really working to establish more and more at this level. He's been riding it since September, and it was ridden by Enrique Camiroaga of Spain previously. He's had this horse on the team competition a couple of times on the Show Plus Northern Lights. Of course, that team who, as I say, have just struggled in terms of timing a couple of times recently. Done well in terms of the number of faults that they pick up in round 1, but just struggle on the clock. Vintage, another of these larger horses that Juan tends to ride, so it's quite difficult for him to really pick up more pace, because these horses are just so large and he has to really make the most of the bigger stride and try to take the tighter turns. And yeah, then the distance down to the skinny fence on a horse of this type then comes up really quite quickly. Unsettles the horse a bit then down this final line.
Yeah, leaves them at 75.65 a time, and taking them up to a score of 21 in total, I'm afraid, for Juan Ortiz, moving this horse up this season, and it is 21 total with Vintage. Federico Fernandez and Romeo finished well in the Grand Prix here last week as well for Federico, finishing into top 5. That was a similar result in Jalapa back a couple of weeks ago as well, and solidly at San Miguel. Hugely experienced 3-time Olympian for Mexico. And with Romeo, the 11-year-old stallion by Lando. Federico, a good one to be one to watch.
Yes, had a really good result last week, and it was such a very challenging course as well, but this horse is going better and better for him. That was their most recent set of competitions. They did the 2-star Grand Prix. He did the 2-star Grand Prix, excuse me, as well, with Vega de la Roche. But Davidoff very much his top ride. They were also 6th in the 5-star Grand Prix at San Miguel as well. Just 2 time penalties keeping them out of the jump off there. There's also a horse who's competed in Nations Cup competitions, most recently in Spruce Meadows in Calgary.
Holds off well into that double to still keep it clean at the moment. Just moves up around that corner to make up a little bit of that time. Gets the 5 neatly down to the little skinny. And just might run a little bit close. Should just about be at the 74 mark, just short of it, 73.83. Going to be clear there for Federico Fernandez and Romeo. So nicely done from him. As I say, he's just such a consistent rider, and why he's been such a long-time rider for the team as well for Mexico. Gives us 2 for Mexico, 1 for Argentina, and 1 for Brazil. So far, another team rider, World Championship team rider, Erin Ballard and Keilana Denfer. That wasn't a championship ride, but it's an exciting one coming through for us. Another 9-year-old here, and by Kidam de Revel, which is a well-established stallion, as many will know, out of Selena the Fourth, which was by Sento. And so Erin, now the next of 5 Canadians competing here this week.
Yes, she's had some great results with many horses. Gakir is the horse that she rode in our opening 5-star competition and did very well with just earlier on this afternoon, that of course being her World Championships horse. Now Keilana Denfer is the one that she tackles this 5-star jump-off course with. She jumped well on team competition at Toronto with this horse, a double clear, or 2nd place for them. So double clear in 2 classes there, double clear in the team and double clear in the two-face 5-star competition. She also jumped at Spruce Meadows at 3 and 5-star level in September and had 3 top 10 finishes at Spruce Meadows, including a 5th in a 5-star jump-off class, much like this one. Rodrigo Lambre competed this horse previously and competed the horse around Mexico.
Just dragging off the front bar of that double, just going to leave them on the 4. They were a little bit back on the track in terms of time, 75.76. It is only a 9-year-old, Keilana Denfer, so just coming into this level. Well established when you're nigh the likes of 2s and 3s and done all of that in terms of the star level, but 5-star is where they're really starting to come into their big league at this point. And so finishing there off on the 5 at 75.76 for Erin Ballard of Canada. Manuel Gonzalez Dufresne now and Martielis for the very successful Mexican riders this year. The 10-year-old by Nabab the Reb, both with this horse he's been going very well, and with Hortensia, which he rode onto that Challenge Cup winning team at the Nations Cup final this year as well. So has been coming on strong form. A little bit of a look at the first.
Yeah, just have a little bit of a look at the first. The horse is a 10-year-old and has actually had a good look around quite a few high-profile competitions. He jumped this horse in Vancouver and at Spruce Meadows, as well as in Mexico City, and then various competitions in and around Mexico in the early part of the year as well. Jumped in the 5-star Grand Prix at San Miguel as well, and he jumped on the team competition, just having 1 pole down for the Trailblazers. It'll be very interesting to see who they select for this week. Oof, just at fence 8 gives it a rattle. The pole almost comes out of the cups and then drops back in.
Just coming home on the 4. And it'll stay at that. It won't, in fact. It's got a little bit of time to add. 2 for time, finishing on 6 there at 76.19 for Manuel Gonzalez Dufresne and Martieles for the 10-year-old this time. For the rider for Mexico, talking of Mexico, we've got 2 clears for Mexico so far, Federico Fernandez and Juan Jose Zendejas Salgado. 1 for Argentina with Ignacio Morin, and 1 for Brazil with Eduardo de Menezes at this point. Nick Pizarro, Nicholas, who was another into the money here last week as part of the Grand Prix here in La Silla. Not a big surprise there. He finished in 4th place, but he's been on 2nd the Grand Prix in Jalapa in the last few weeks. He's an Olympic rider as well for Mexico, regularly been on those teams, as was over in Europe this year too, competing in Aachen. Pia Contra, the 11-year-old for Nick, with the mare by Contagos, back to the line of Chaco Blue as well. And is one that would be a regular slot onto the Mexican squad.
Very, very strong here last week as well. They just had 1 time penalty in the 5-star Grand Prix, and that kept them out of the jump off, but it did mean that they finished in 4th place. They're really, really strong there. Of course, he's on the Crusaders team now, that entirely new lineup.
Yeah, just coming on the 4 at the moment. As you say, good addition for the Crusaders in their new look team.
Yes, entirely new. They're the only team to have 6 new riders. Of course, the Trailblazers have 4 new riders, but it's a very new story for the Crusaders.
Yeah, coming at a really nice pace with this horse. Just a lovely flowing round there. Just finishes on the 4, 70.09. It is just on the 4 for Nicholas Pizarro this time. And Pia Contra, but a lot to look out for this week. Really looking good. Airborne over the second part of that double, but just picking up the 4 on the way. Carlos Angararo of Mexico, H5 Turbo Z, the H5 Sport Horses. 13-year-old stallion by Thunder van der Zuthilve for the Mexican 22-year-old, who's also been competing over in Europe in the World Cup qualifiers there in Oslo, Saint-Tropez. Back to Mexico. He also had a very good record in young riders as well, not too long ago, of course, just out of that at the age of 22. And for Carlos, is a big family involvement in the sport. Father riding here, sister who was riding here last week as well. All the family involved in the equestrian sport, and that's the lovely thing with a lot of the Mexican sport too, is a lot of family involvement there, and some top-class professionals in there being built for the future. But Carlos, who's now, as I say, even at 22, competed around the world. Just holding for that line, brings up his tall frame.
This combination also jumped in the 5-star Grand Prix here last week, but didn't quite have the day that they wanted. They finished 30th, so no doubt there will be ones to potentially watch this week. I'm sure they will be aiming for that once again. Also jumped this horse in the World Cup at Oslo very recently, and in the 5-star Grand Prix at Saint-Tropez recently as well.
Nice forward shot to the last, just a little touch there at 72.91 and leaves them on a clear. So H5 Turbo Z can chest out their turbo later because they're 3rd of the Mexicans into the jump off so far. Carlos Angararo joins Federico Fernandez, Juan Jose Zendejas Salgado, and Argentina's Ignacio Morin and Brazil's Eduardo de Menezes. Building up to 5 into the jump off so far, with around, where are we up to? About 17, 18 gone in the first round so far. Mimi Gotchman, Cosmos BH, really nice looking 9-year-old with a very talented young rider on the back as well. Finished well at the Hampton Classic this year. And Mimi, who's still only 18 years of age, has already netted the Young Riders title, the Junior title, the gold medals for both of those, and competed the Youth Equestrian Games this year, the replacement for the Youth Olympic Games in Aachen as well. But a very nice-looking horse indeed. Fairly newer one for her.
Yes, it is. As you say, that bronze medal at the Youth Equestrian Games, really a very impressive result for her, and she's very much a rising star of the sport. This horse was with Aiken Sato of Japan until earlier this year. Mimi took over the reins in competition from September.
Yeah, and really the horse is just going into its sort of first 5 stars as well from that point of view, again being 9,
Yes.
come through the 2s and 3s in Germany. But very good development that she's had so far.
Yeah, she jumped well with this horse last week, actually, in the 5-star metre 45 speed class as well. Had a second place finish there. It's a really good result for them. So not only stepping up to the 5-star level, but doing so very successfully.
Yeah, pretty good. Just going to be on the 4, 72-32, just leaving them on the 4. And there, just the one fence down into 7th spot for Mimi Gotchman and Cosmos BH, but is really going to be an exciting pairing to look out for. She I say, only 18, the horse 9, over the next 2-3 years plus. Keep an eye on that. Jose Antonio Shadrawi Prom, another of the next generation of riders to come through here in Mexico. Aztalan, a 9-year-old too. The Chestnut Gelding is Belgian bred by Otongelo for Jose, following in the rest of the family's footsteps. 2 or even 3 generations that have competed in the sport of show jumping.
Yeah, looking for another Mexican competitor to join those in the jump off, and the crowd here have been absolutely getting behind the home competitors in the last few days and over last week's competitions. This one is a horse that Jose Antonio was competing in the 2 stars last week. Now stepping the horse up to the 5 stars this week. He's jumped some 5 stars with the horse at Spruce Meadows though back in the summer. Also jumped well at Quapex Pan back in March. Nice double clear for a 2nd place in a 5-star class there. This is a pair who've been competing together for quite some time.
Yeah, just gets a little strung up, held up on that first part of the double. The 2nd of the fence is down for them so far. Just coming nice and quietly down to the skinny. Obviously needs a little more pace to get across the back bar here. Just maybe a little too much pace as they come into the first part. And well over the last. Is going to be just inside the time on a score of 12.74, 5-1 for Jose Antonio Shadrawi and Aztala for the younger rider coming through for Mexico. So we're on the 12 for them. Still leaves us at the 5 clears so far of those gone in this Vector-sponsored jump-off class. Erin Davis Heineken, the NKH Cento Blue, the 12-year-old Oldenburg, US bred in fact, by Centadel, out of Gloria Blue.
This is a horse that Erin's been riding since August of this year. Prior to that, the horse was, of course, ridden by Christian Heineken, who rode this horse on the winning team at the Major League Show in Monterey last year. Now Erin very ably taking over the reins. Had some good results in the 5-star classes at Traverse City in the summer.
Horse was ridden by her husband Christian. In fact, it was the horse that he rode to win for the team here last year. Coming in with this horse to back up Leone. Just been getting used to this combination, jumping at the 5-star level. Again, been building through, just coming home on the 4 this time, and building as a combination together, finishing on the 4, 73.57. Erin Davis, Heineken, and NKH Cento Blue getting more confident as they go through. And there you see them at the triple bar, lands tightly from that. And Amanda Derbyshire, meantime, comes into view. Cornwall BH for the European medalist. Amanda, Grand Prix winner in Traverse City this season as well.
Yes, Grand Prix winner there, and she also had a good run last week in our 5-star Grand Prix. She just picked up 2 time penalties, which had her sit in 6th place overall, just in front of the fastest of the 4 falters. So still a very good result there.
Absolutely, riding for the Gotchman Sport Horses, also on that training team for Mimi as well with Ken. So it is on this well-experienced 14-year-old for Amanda Derbyshire. British rider, as you say, blazed up in Florida. Already ridden on 2 British teams before now, including, let's say, through to championship level. Just steadying up for this GNP Oxa. It's getting a little stronger down that line, but Amanda managing it well.
She's had wins with this horse at Upperville as well this year in some 4-star classes, and then also jumped well at Lexington earlier on, had a win at 3-star level there. Certainly had some good results with the horse in a range of different venues as well.
Just dropped away lightly, just a little onto the back bar of that triple bar, leaves them on the 4. Only a fraction short on that. There we go, finishing on the 4 fault, 71.74. Still a good round for them, goes into 7th place, just missing out there with the 1 rail for Amanda Derbyshire. And Cornwall BH looked almost clear, but just puts a toe on it. So Amanda Derbyshire into 7th spot at the moment. Nick Pizarro, fastest of the 4 falters, into 6th place at the moment in this $55,000 class. Bliss Hears and Dido Damas for the Bridgeside Farms of Las Vegas, Nevada. The 12-year-old by Demont Semi in the prime now, and as we saw a couple of weeks ago, absolutely prime and ready to go in the Atomi Grand Prix in San Miguel. And we'll see if this week yields another big win.
Yeah, that was a fantastic performance to win the 5-star Major League Grand Prix at San Miguel de Allende. She's had a lot of good results with this horse, though. This has been so consistent for her. They were also 3rd in the 5-star Grand Prix at San Miguel last year, 3rd in a 5-star Grand Prix at Valkenswaard in August, and also doing well in Deauville, and jumping in the Nations Cup at Nokahipeak as well. As you say, very much on form and absolutely at the top of their game this year.
course, that were shortlisted around Olympics last time out and World Championships as well. Really looking back to their terrific form as they have been over the last few weeks. Small horse, lots of jump. Been a few of those over the year of the great horses of the sport.
Good for speed as well.
Good for speed as well, exactly. But finds the height, and that's what it is. Big-hearted horse that goes clear at 72.54 and gives us the 6th of the clears at this stage. Bliss Here's an Antidote de Mars. Shakes up the lineup a little bit. We've got 3 for Mexico, 1 for the USA, 1 for Argentina, and 1 for Brazil. Shane Sweetnam now. And Shane, based up in Florida. Namaste. Again, just quietly round the two-phase a little bit earlier on. And back now with the Belgian-bred gelding by Elvis Terput out of Amigo. Shane not with us last week, has come in this week. Connoisuela stepped out of the equation. He's headed north, and now Shane Sweetnam has filled an Irish slot, if you like. But as the man who heads up the Spy Coast team as well, the team leader is back and ready for action and to maybe seal their first one of the season. They've got so agonisingly close so far this year. Maybe this one's it. And a little bit of a change around for those of you that are going to be watching as well, the team class. It's going to be at 6 o'clock local time here on Saturday night as well, indoors. You're wondering how we're going to do under the lights, but we're going indoors for that. So a little bit of a change around. Won't be on the grass, will be indoors, which will make things all a little bit different. Fast, furious, tight and exciting.
Yes, it really will make things very, very different. It'll be the first time that we've jumped indoors on the Major League circuit this year. And Shane Sweetnam really could make all the difference to the Spy Coast Spies. They are absolutely there or thereabouts. They've had a lot of second place finishes. And yes, just really agonisingly close all the way through the season. You know, last week they were 4th in the end, but did well to get into the top 4 following a pretty tricky course for round 1. Shane, of course, has all the experience needed, and he's got some fantastic horses at the moment.
So, and has one of probably the best in the world sitting in his stable at the moment with James Can Cruz. That was jumping up in the States last week. And, of course, won the American Gold Cup at Traverse City. Yeah, but he has got a really good backup string to that as well. And James Can Cruz just being a 9-year-old. This is another really good-looking 9-year-old for him. 73.87, and could see him arrive with a bang by taking home a class yet. Shane Sweetnam, Namaste, will produce clear round number 7 of our lineup so far.
Rodrigo Lambré, medalla de oro por equipos en los Juegos Panamericanos de Lima 2019. Tercer puesto en el Gran Premio 2 Estrellas de Otomí. Ganó también el Gran Premio de Puebla en mayo.
Rodrigo Lambré and Chiquitos PS. Rodrigo with this another 9-year-old. I feel like I'm repeating myself a little bit, but it's the perfect class to have a 9-year-old in. Just unfortunately having an early rail for them.
Yes, it is a good class to have the 9-year-olds in. They're really getting the miles on the clock. Unfortunately, just another relatively early fence down there for Rodrigo. They were 10th in the 5-star Grand Prix at San Miguel. They definitely have the potential to do extremely well. It had some 2-star wins earlier on in the year as well. Another rider on the Spy Coast Spies, of course.
Consistent winner in Florida, just a little touchdown there, just leaves him on the 8 faults and should just squeak in the time. Yes, he does, 74.69. Going to be 8 there for Rodrigo Lamre, teammate of Shane Sweeten. Not quite the same result though, finishing on 8 faults this time with Chiquitos PS. Just a ripple into that double. This gives the pole a shake. And should be coming in with confidence. Lily Keenan, last week's Grand Prix winner. That was with a different horse, though, to this one. That was with, of course, Queensland E. Today with Kado Minka, a 9-year-old. There we go. This one's not by Chaco Blue, it's by Cannon. And out of Bominka, just to shake things up a little bit.
Yeah, just a slight shake-up, but no shaking up in terms of the age of the horses. But Lily, as you say, must be coming here feeling pretty confident. She's already had that 5-star Grand Prix win here, that, of course, being with Queensland E. She's a very talented rider and has been going extremely consistently this year so far. This is a horse that she has had since the back end of last year, early part of this year, and was previously ridden by Willem Greve of the Netherlands.
Yeah, Lily, who's been based over in Europe throughout the summer as well, been building up her string there, as well as competing at the World Championships, of course, at the highest level. Aganda Belliard also had a very good grey in her string, but to say that Grand Prix win coming last week, and actually on this horse was then second in the team competition as well here on Sunday as well. So I would think this is probably going to be her team horse again. I would think they'll go with a similar configuration. See what she does with the Trailblazers here this week.
Yeah, great injection of fresh talent for the Trailblazers following that mid-season transfer window. Of course, that was just before San Miguel, so they're really settling into the new lineups now, and the Trailblazers absolutely showing that that new lineup is working extremely well for them, getting the 2nd place finish. She's clear with this horse about 65% of the time, knocking on for 70% of the time. And there you can see she just really studied for that skinny fence, just exactly what she needed to do. Oh, what a shame.
Yeah, just lay on that final fence there, finishing on the 4:71.53 for Lily Keenan and Kado Minka for the Chansonet Farm of New York. Just going to take her on the 4, was good through here. It's just as they get forward down the last, that comes down for them. So, meantime, man of the moment here last week for the team competition was Carl Cook and Caillou. I think we're going to see quite a few in here that are probably their team horses for later on into the week. Carl Cook with Sydney Osby's 15-year-old by Casal. There's been a multiple Grand Prix winner, but was very much in comfortable form to get ahead of Patricio Pascal here last week, or back onto the weekend. To lift Helios's 5th team win of the season, but it's not done yet. Still more meat on the bone.
Still a little bit further to go yet. Still 3 more legs to go, but Team Helios really are very consistent, and they've got fantastic depth in their squad as well. They've had wins with different lineups, entirely different lineups of riders, different lineups of horses. Just really demonstrates how successful they can be and how strong the squad is in terms of riders and horses. But yes, Carl riding the winning round with Caillou up against Patricio Pascal. He had one down in round 1, but that proved to be a very good result and just exactly what they needed to take the win. This, of course, being the horse that he's had plenty of success at 5-star level with, countless podium finishes, in fact, in the 5-star competitions. It will definitely be interesting to see who they select for that indoor competition later on.
Yeah, a little bit of different circumstances with that there, so we'll see what the teams shuffle up together. We'll see. On the 4 for Carl Cook and Caillou this time, 74.33 for them. And here was where it came, just got into the bottom of that fence, unfortunately, but otherwise a pretty good round for them. Nothing much to worry about there. Coming home on just the 1 down for Carl. Luis Pedro Biraben of Argentina, Chaco Bumpy. Also onto the Crusaders team. 12-year-olds, done plenty. Chaco Blue is the sire, as it runs through many lines, and out of 2 Bumpy, hence the name. Not too hard in trying to work out how that one came together. But Luis, a very good record as a rider for Argentina, and in the last few months has had wins from Guadalajara through to finishing well in the Grand Prix in Monterrey. And well, in fact, he won the Grand Prix Lexington this year. He's a World Championship rider in 2018 and Pan Am Silver back in 2015 as well. So a good record behind him.
Very, very good, yeah. As you say, a good few championship titles and medals on his record himself. With this horse, he's been in the top 10 in their last 3 competitions. Also was 7th at Saugerties in a 5-star Grand Prix in September, just a couple of months ago. They also won a 3-star Grand Prix at Lexington back in May, so quite a few good results on their tally for the year already. Another rider for the Crusaders, who've been getting better and better as the season progresses.
Oh, it stayed. It stayed, going
Very
clear.
lucky.
70.88, and we'll leave them in the jump off. Chaco Bumpy gives the last one a little bump on the way out, but it will stay there. Just a pop of the toe on there, but it is still in the cups. So through they go. It is clear round number 8 this time for Argentina. 2 for Argentina into that jump off so far. Luis Pedro Biraben and Chaco Bumpy will be in there alongside a growing list. So that would suggest, so 8 of them at this point. Bliss here, Shane Sweetnam, Carlos Ancarrero, Ignacio Morin, Eduardo Jimenez, to name but a few. Natalie Dean, Cocalina, 11-year-old Oldenburg by Contagas for Natalie. Already a team rider for USA, and for her, was on the winning team, in fact, for Lugano Diamonds. That was in Ottawa this year, but they put 1 win together, and I'm afraid not an awful lot else throughout the season. It's been low on points for them after that, and either side of that victory. They came to the top. They've got a great-looking team. It just hasn't quite turned into results this season so far. But her as a rider, whole team as a group of riders, fantastic set. But for her, she's again gone really well last week, and this could be just coming into the right stage for them.
Yeah, it's been really unfortunate for Team Lugano. As you say, they've had that win that was at Ottawa, and it was a brilliant performance from all of them. You know, they're spearheaded by Kent Farrington as well. Unfortunately, here she just comes down quite heavily on the back rail. She's actually 8th in the under-25 world rankings at the moment, so, you know, she's really going well in a lot of different competitions.
Yeah, had a good win in Sacramento a few weeks ago, part of the World Cup there, but she's put plenty of wins together. Just a fairly even roll there to have the skinny down. And going to come home on the 8 faults. 73.28, so inside the time as well for Natalie Dean and Cocalina. So they're on the 8. 8 is the number so far of clears in the game at this point. Shadows just lengthening a little as we get into the evening, well, I say evening, late afternoon. Here, just coming up to 4 o'clock local time. And now back to Mexico. Mexico with World Championship rider Eugenio Garza and Pan Am silver medalist rode the round for the winning team. That was in Atomi 2 weeks ago there. And also part of that winning team, Helios, went brilliantly in Spruce Meadows. Lovely combination together. Really sweet group of rounds this pair have been having. In fact, if this horse had a theme tune, it's probably Maroon 5's Sugar You're Sweet. There's been no great problems for them this season. They've gone so fantastically well. And for them, let's see how they get on today. But I expect another really good, sweet performance from these two. So, owned by parents David and Monica. It's an 11-year-old by Kornet Obolensky. And a joy to watch. Can Helios do it again this week? Is it going to be a big one for them? Well, we will see. We will see.
Well, it could well be a big week for them, and of course the teams themselves have the theme tunes as they come in, but you might have just opened the door for individuals to do the same.
Well, I think actually we should have sort of opened up on social media and think which theme tunes you think should go with the horses, but that's maybe something we'll be running over the next few weeks. The social team might look at me and say,
oh, why not?
They might say, why not? We'll see.
I think our DJ might have something to say about it as well.
We'll get a few theme tunes around the different horses. Anyway, going really nicely as we've seen. It's just looked so controlled all the way through also the last few months with this horse, and really clicked with Eugenio and Contargo.
Yes, it's a little bit of a lucky number 7 at the moment for this pair. They were 7th in San Miguel in our 5-star Grand Prix, and last week 7th as well. Well,
could be lucky number 1 this week. We will see. Big Grand Prix coming up, as you say. Finished well in those, but have just, again, shown another very, very consistent performance. Just so solid now without them all the way through. Don't get into trouble. No real talk-to-me goose moments through. They're not getting into any great hassle. They really are so very good. Lovely to see them here. And Eugenio Garza adds in as the 9th clear round of the lineup to date. Miguel Angel Torres and Eldor Blue now for our next up. And takes us well into the order here on a 10-year-old here for the Mexican rider. And it's by El Dorado. We shall see how they get on, because we had a really exciting Grand Prix here last week. A lot of the Mexican riders close up there. Of course, we had a Toro Parada into that jump off as well. Federico Fernandez up in the top few, and a really close challenge too into the team competition as that builds all the way to those final group stages. So we have got 9 clears now with Eugenio Garza and Contargo getting into the group. Miguel, from his point of view, nicely through the season, actually was up into the 5 stars in Saint-Tropez, if I remember.
Yes.
At Saint-Tropez, in Spruce Meadows.
Yes, I was going to say, it did those in Spruce Meadows back in the summer for various different competitions there. Also competed here at Monterey in April, and then San Miguel in May as well in the 3 and 2 stars. Did the 5 stars at Quapex Pan back in March as well. Last week they did well in the 5-star speed class.
Yeah, but not quite to be today. Decided to retire pretty early on there for Miguel and Eldor Blue, unfortunately. So let's remind you the clears so far. Eugenio Garza, Luis Pedro Biraben, Shane Sweeten and Bliss Hears, Carlos San Guerrero, Federico Fernandez, Juan Jose Sandia Salgado, Ignacio Morin and Eduardo de Menezes, but switch them in the reverse order because that's how it will work for the jump-off. Alberto Sanchez Cazar just making his way up, obviously just a moment's hiatus before he comes in. As another good winner from San Miguel 2 weeks ago now. It's all starting to feel long in the distance. We're looking ahead to the likes of California coming up as well. We complete this week a breather for a couple of weeks before we head into those 2 stages at the Desert Horse Park, and they're the final stages as well. We've got grass, we've got under lights, we've got finals, we've got entertainment, we've got all of it coming up for you. Look forward to it.
Action-packed.
Action-packed. Cat over, as I say, for Mario Nate, for Alberto. Also, this 13-year-old biker, Toki. Really smart, and actually interesting talking to a few of the riders, how they really like this horse as well.
Yeah, he had a great win in earlier on in the week in San Miguel, actually, with this horse. Also had a good win in a 5-star jump-off class at Quapex Pan, did well at Spruce Meadows as well. So I can really see why several riders would really say that this is a horse that they like the look of, because they've had plenty of good results to back that up. Yeah, and they as a horse, not the same rider, but won the Nations Cup Grand Prix in Wellington, Florida previously as well. So that's certainly one that's no giveaway from that point of view. But Katoki, as we've seen from a few of the Katokis, they've got plenty of jump, plenty of pace. Should be a good one that could play a part this week, as we saw already getting that win over in San Miguel a couple of weeks ago. Alberto Sanchez Cazar looking to join 4 for Mexico now into the jump-off. Yeah, a good number going through into the jump-off now. And always nice to have a good Mexican representative there for the home crowd to cheer on. I'm sure this is a horse that will be staying as the week progresses, and I'm sure it'll be one that he'll be aiming towards the 5-star Grand Prix as well. 5-star Grand Prix, of course, taking place in this arena. It's just the team competition that goes indoors. Alberto's got a good few horses that he's been jumping in the Major League shows recently. Union de la Nutria is another one, and one that he rode earlier on in the opening 5-star competition. Abril Hilcher as well is one he's been riding pretty successfully. So a good string of horses, and Catova potentially one that has been going almost the best for him.
Just there's a little dip of the leg in the triple bar there, but keeps the balance and well balanced down to the skinny. Just wants to take care with the pace here. Steady for the last. They've got time, they're okay, and they've got a clear. There we go, 73.5. Marionettes, Catova, and Alberto Sanchez Cazar of Mexico does join in with the rest of the group. Takes us to half of that jump off being made up of the home riders so far for Mexico. We've also got Ireland and Argentina thrown in there, and USA and Brazil as a good range of flags into today's jump off class. So Alberto Sanchez Cazar into the game. Arturo Parada and Wisconsin PS, another with a big result for him last week as he got into that final jump off, one of the 3 into the jump off for last week's GNP Seguros Grand Prix. Wisconsin PS wasn't the ride then. It's a 9-year-old mare, German, by Winning Mood, with some terrific breeding through there. Back to a mare that was by Stackatol. And Arturo, one of his biggest results coming with that here last week, up into that jump off with Eduardo Menezes and Lily Keenan. But again, gives you a confident run. He didn't have the best finish off to it, but I'm sure will come in with a confident run this week, having achieved so much.
Yes, Bacco was the horse that he, Bacot, however you'd pronounce that yourself, was the horse with whom he was 3rd last week. Done very, very well with that horse. This is one that he's been riding since September of this year. Previously ridden by Jesus Francisco Orantes Hawa of Mexico. He's been doing very well around Mexico with this horse in the 2 stars in Guadalajara, for example, in September and October. And particularly well in speed class. Jumped in the jump-off classes there as well, but the horse has absolutely got the speed that he needs. Arturo's another rider who's been competing around Europe over the summer as well, and now comes back to Mexico for this winter season.
There we go. It is going to be another clear 73.84. He comes in on strong form. Arturo Parada and Wisconsin PS going clear to give us clear round number 11 so far. Might find 1 or 2 elect to not to jump off. We will see, because they've got their eyes on big things throughout the week as well. Team competitions, Grand Prix, etc. But there's plenty of prize money here to take a shot at yet. And Paul O'Shea is going to take a shot at that with the Eye Candy team's Hellcat, the 11-year-old Belgian-bred mare by Cassandra van het Brimhoff.
Yes, Paul's another rider with a great string of horses here. Hellcat's one that's quite a long-term partner for him. One that's owned by Team Eye Candy, and of course Paul's been such an instrumental part of that team over the last couple of seasons. Eye Candy just still climbing the ranks as well. They're in 2nd in the season standings at the moment. He came 2nd with this horse in the 5-star winning round class at Traverse City at our first trip there in August. And they're about 50% of the time clear. But he's been such a key rider for the Eye Candy team. In 2021, he actually contributed to 3 wins and 3 podium finishes, 2 of those being with Hellcat. The horse that he's ridden a lot on the team competition is Squirt Gun.
Yeah, a few of those coming into those second spins around today as well. And we saw Paul O'Shea with Hellcat, of course. He's got a good range of horses to go out with the team competition. Just on the 4 at the moment for the Irishman. Just that golden glow coming off the fences, but unfortunately Matt Black not so easy to see, and just leaves the front leg on a couple of those poles there. Takes him up to a score of 12 so far, and Hellcat just going to be inside the time at 73.57, but on a score of 12 for Ireland's Paul O'Shea this time around. Still leaving us at the 11 clears at the moment. Jordan Coyle and Oriso, the 11-year-old Swedish-bred horse by Casal, has been following in the next generation of the fantastic Casal, with 5-star Grand Prix wins behind them as well. We saw California last year in the final stages of the events there in the Desert Horse Park, and of course up in Vancouver this year as well. But it continues a long run, and Jordan, I think, has probably been, I'd have to look through, he might have been in the final more than anyone so far, the team competition so far. They've been coming up with the seconds, but Helios getting the wins, but Helios have changed around a lot in who they've got in there.
Yeah. Team Helios, they have really used pretty much all of their squad. They've really been utilising all 6 riders, whereas with the Spyco Spies, they have been fairly reliant on a good few very consistent competitors, and Jordan's certainly one of those. He's ridden a range of different horses on the team competition. He's been very consistent for them, and he's often been selected to jump the medal jump off. Oriso is one of his very top riders. This is the horse with whom he won the 5-star Grand Prix at Vancouver, that of course being the opening 5-star Grand Prix of the 2022 Major League season. Last year he won the 5-star Major League Grand Prix at Thermal back in December as well. No doubt we'll be seeing him there again this year. Picador and Costa Diam are his other 2 horses, and he rode both of those in the earlier 5-star class this afternoon, and in fact won with Picador, being a 2-phase competition. Oh, what a shame. Yeah,
a little unsteady coming into that double, and just has the front bar, and then leans forward into the last. So just going to have 1 for time as well. Total of 5 at 75.55 for Jordan Coyle and Oriso, putting him out of the running. So Jordan Coyle making way now. Fabian Sahanes of Argentina, and Temple, the 11-year-old Mexican-bred horse from La Silla here, in fact. Well, I say the ranch is actually about 45 minutes down the road, but it's all part of the same organisation. Auction this week too for several of the La Silla horses, and if you can, I'm not going to run through them all now, but go and have a good look up and you'll see how many top horses have come out with the LS or the La Silla bred name over not just the last 5 or 10, but probably the last 30 years plus. They've been fantastic, and well, the owner here has just done a great job with of promoting shows, promoting horses throughout his wonderful career, and continues to be a great patron of the sport here in Mexico and worldwide. Fabian having an early rail down there, just on the 4 for the Argentinian.
He's had this horse in lots of competitions in and around Mexico, up to 4-star level this year. Now he's stepping the horse up to the 5-star competitions in the last couple of weeks. Had a few top 20 placings in the 2 stars in San Miguel in May of this year. Of course, another rider who also went to the World Championships in Herning this summer. There he rode Harley VD Bishop. Temple, though, now the horse he has here in Mexico.
Tap at the last and leaves them just on the 4:73.11 there for Fabian Sahanes. And Temple also joint owned with Gerardo Pascal. The Mexican-bred ride, but just leaves them on the 4. Still keeps us at the 11 clears so far in this jump-off class. Could get to the dozen. We will see. We've got not too many left. What about 6 or 7? Lacey Gilbertson, Kyle King, Emma Marlowe, Alexis Sokolov, Jacob Pope, Ashley Bond, and Vanessa Marks. Here's what's planned. Lacey Gilbertson comes up as planned there. Carlin van Vennehoff for the Seabrook LLC of Lake Forest, Illinois, the 12-year-old by Phantom Master Moose. Again, been a brilliant team rider this year, top 3 in the American Gold Cup as well. It's been a year to remember so far.
Definitely been a year to remember. She's been very consistent and not only having a couple of very impressive results like that 3rd in the American Gold Cup that was with Carlin van Vennehoff, but Lacey's also been very consistent in the team competition. She's actually jumped more clear rounds on the team competition than any other rider for any team, which is 9 in total across the various different legs. She's never dropped more than 1 pole for them, and she's done that across using Carlin and Damsel Saint-Amel as well. 2 very good rides for her. Also did well in the 5-star Grand Prix at Ottawa with this horse. She was 11th. Just didn't quite get the distance over fence 8, did she?
Well, leaves her on the 4 at the moment. But I say this might well be the horse she goes to with the team competition. We'll see. I think a few of those we're going to see here. But as you say, it's a couple of options for her. Just on the 4 at the moment for Lacey.
I think it's such a key point in the season for so many of these teams, and especially for the Spy Coast Spies, that they might really well be pulling out the top horses.
Exactly, exactly. This is the last few stages where you don't want to get Helios running too far away from it. There's about 16 points difference at the moment, I think, and then of course the last stage is coming to big points on those as well at the final. So you want to keep the gap closed up so you can still keep them in touching distance. Lacey Gilbertson, Carlin van Vennehoff will probably be a part of those teams this week as well for Spy Coast, and Kyle King for the Roadrunners. Winner of this class this time last week as well, and now on the 13-year-old for Kyle. Number of wins up in Vancouver in the last few months. Last year we saw him go so well through this series. It really gave him a great elevation to bring up his strings. Some new horses in there this year as well, lift up in the rankings, and some well-deserved results, and getting the opportunity to get into those big shows from that point of view for the Californian.
Yeah, and this is of course a time of the week and a format that he likes and that suits him because of that win last week. But now stepping up extremely well to the 5 stars. Last year in San Miguel he was jumping in the 2-star Grand Prix, but now this year of course is very established at the 5-star level. Did very well at Traverse City earlier as well. He also won a 3-star Grand Prix at Vancouver in August, and he rode this horse on the winning team here in Monterey last year. So successful record, and successful here not only last week but last year as well.
Exactly. A little touch there behind. It would be good to see him in the game once again. Could put a real pressure on the rest, put him to the fire. Okay, there we go. It is going to be a chance again to get the feet hot. It is clear 71.83 and put them all under some pressure. 12 now. The Dirty Dozen are in there. The Great Dozen are in there. We will see what comes out of this, and it is going to be a good battle to finish this off. Emma Marlowe could well be a part of that as well with Cherokee, but booking his place, Kyle King and Echelon in there at 71.83 without any trouble. And then we go on from them to Emma Marlowe and Cherokee for the Trelawney Farm, this 15-year-old gelding by Cardento. Just one of 5 left to go. Another one who's really stepped up as part of the series this year. Now, she didn't jump this horse, if I remember, last week into the 5-star, jumping in this week.
No, I don't believe she did. As you can see, she's on the squad for the Trailblazers team. Didn't ride for them last week either. She did jump this horse on the team competition in Vancouver and jumped 2 clear rounds. She was not the quickest there though, but helped the team to a 3rd place finish. Emma was on the Eye Candy squad a little bit last year, but no, that's not what she would have wanted.
No,
here,
just
sure.
as a little look there, sidestep, and okay, we'll have a reapproach. Yeah, fine this time.
Unusual for this pair. 15-year-old horse, pretty established.
Yeah, it's all something they didn't like. Anyway, they are rolling on with a nice pace again. Obviously, they're not going to get round for the clear. There's bound to be some time faults in there as well. Here's how it goes. Just has to move up down to the water.
But as ever, these classes on day one are a really good opportunity to just get a feel of the arena and get a feeling of the competitions here, aren't they?
Yeah, as you say, hasn't jumped last week as well. This will be their first outing in here, but would have liked to have kept a clean sheet, but on the 12 at the moment. Look for a good finish. And Typhoid's going to be rolling up, but unfortunately last fence going down as well for them. So time in there as well makes it look like a big score at 36 there at 94. 32 for Emma Marlowe and Cherokee for the Trelawney Farm. Still leaves us with the 12 in the equation as it stands. 4 left to come.
4 left and 12 clears now. Good number of clears here.
Yeah. Sitting at the dozen so far with Alexis Sokolov, looking to make it a baker's dozen with 13 maybe. Calciat EBZ. Going to be for Alexis. Another 9-year-old in here, the Belgian bred horse by Cornet Obolensky. And Alexis, younger rider coming through, first season into these big 5-star level.
Yes, and she's moving up very ably actually as well. Trains with Connor Swale and under his guidance has been jumping very well at this top level. She's on the Roadrunners team. And Calciat EBZ is a horse that she's had since August. Horses competed by Connor in the past, as well as by Gregory Watherley of Belgium and by Manuel Thierry as well. She jumped well at Traverse City with this horse, doing very well with a double clear and a 7th place in the opening 5-star 2-phase competition there. She's got a couple of horses here last week and this one, and this week this horse and Fasoli de Seigneur.
Just a touch through there. It's going to take her up to a couple down on the 8. Again, good round for them. Just a couple down this time. And again, they've been putting some really good rounds up throughout the season. It will always be a little bit up and down there. But there was not much wrong with that round at all. Finishes on a total of 11 there. 77.04 for Alexis Sokolov and Calciat EBZ. 3 left to go. And one of you enjoyed watching this season is Jacob Pope. And Highway FBH for the Highway Group, the 10-year-old by Plot Blue. Jacob's first season coming into these really big into FEI. To put it simply, he came through, won a Grand Prix in Traverse City. He's got a wonderful record right the way through. He was brilliant throughout equitation years. Now, of course, he's that little bit older, and then into the jumping sections as well. He went so fantastically. He wins Hunter class after Hunter class. Beautiful rider to watch, but really effective rider to watch as well. Training with Ivan Rakowski and his fantastic team there. I've got 2 really good horses here with Highway FBH and another one you're going to see later on this week, but this 10-year-old has been a really good performer at this point in their short 5-star career.
Yes, very, very good. Jacob's had this horse in the top 10 5 times out of 6 competitions in a row this year. And as you say, won that Grand Prix at Traverse City, a 3-star Grand Prix there, and just a horse that he's had since August of this year. Incento is the other horse that he rides here this week, and he's a rider on the Spy Coast Spies, transferring in following that mid-season transfer window. Jumped on the team last week with this horse, just had a couple of fences down in round 1, but helped them to a 4th place finish, which very much keeps the team in the running.
Steps down over there, steadies up. Whoa, keep the pace on. Might just struggle at the back. Struggled at the front, unfortunately. Well, tried to correct the problem, didn't quite come in time. Finishes on the 4 at 73.35, just on the 4 for Jacob Pope and Highway FBH. But they're just looking. I mean, look at them over there, looking better and better all the time. Look out for them here this week. Didn't come in there as they would have wanted, and unfortunately leaves them just on the 4. Did well to clear the second part, but there we go on 4. But keep that one in your notebook. This one is usually top of the betting list. Ashley Bond and Donatello, fast combination for Ashley and the Little Valley Farms of California. The 11-year-old Westphalian by Diorado, that's so fast, effective, and again, never wastes an inch on a course.
No, absolutely. Very, very quick on the clock, and the turns are great as well. Ashley won the 5-star Major League Grand Prix at San Miguel last year with this horse, and she was 8th in last week's 5-star Grand Prix here as well. She also rode Donatello on the winning team for Team Helios at Vancouver. Of course, she's a rider who also went to the World Championships this year as well. We've got a good few riders on the list for this week who travelled to the World Championships earlier on. She also had a very good 3rd place in a 5-star speed class at Aachen with this horse. 6th in a 5-star Grand Prix at Saugerties as well in September. Won a 5-star jump-off class there as well. So another combination very much on form, and I'm sure will be ones to watch in the Grand Prix. But what a shame, just the final fence being clipped again. A couple of times that we've seen that happen.
Well, leaves them on the 4 for Ashley Bond and Donatello. So 12 still on the board. 1 left to come, should be Vanessa Mannix in Kingston. Yeah, there she is. Rides on past on the grey that finished 3rd in that Grand Prix in Atomi as well. That is the British bred 9-year-old Kingston. We'll see for the rider from Calgary, Alberta. Again, a good step up for her with this horse. Not been a long partnership indeed, but it was a really good result for them, and so well put together in Atomi as well for her. Should come in here again with confidence, but again with a 9-year-old always balancing up how far to push things.
Yes, she's had this horse since March of this year, but very much made their mark already on the Major League circuit and also in the 5-star level competitions. She was 3rd in San Miguel. That was one of the best results she's had with this horse, but very impressive performance there. She was also 8th in the 5-star Grand Prix at Vancouver earlier on this year, that of course being our first leg. And it's not necessarily the easiest horse. The horse tends to add a couple of flourishes in between the fence, which doesn't tend to make it quite so easy. Also jumped this horse at Spruce Meadows over the summer months between June and September. She just had 1 fence down in a 3-star Grand Prix at Vancouver back in September as well. So lots of good results on their record already. Now 12 still into the jump off, so he's looking to make it 13. She's a rider on the Show Plus Northern Lights as well. Could well be selected for them again.
It's a good whoop from the stands, and there we go with the clear. It is a 0 score there for Vanessa Mannix to round off round 1. 13. We're into the baker's dozen to go into that jump-off round. Kingston will be in there. Vanessa Mannix, Kyle King, Echelon. Let's go back up to the top of them. Eduardo de Menezes, Ignacio Morin, Juan Jose Sandias Salgado, Federico Fernandez, Carlos Sanguero, Bless Hears, Shane Sweetnam, Luis Pedro Berben, Eugenio Garza, Alberto Sanchez Cozar, Toro Porrada, Kyle King, and Vanessa Mannix to take us to 30 in total.
There are all kinds of legends here, each one of them with their own story. But there is one thing they all have in common. They all drive us to find our greatness. Greatness is not something you were born with, nor is it reserved for a few. Greatness is, in any case, a choice. It begins with a dream and transcends languages, generations, and borders. It comes from a team united in body, mind, and spirit. Because by joining forces, the extraordinary can be achieved. 12A, 12B, 6, true greatness forges a legacy that inspires others to dream more and become more, creating a better world for those who will come next. Legends inspire greatness in others. Let's be legends.
En Banorte sabemos que en equipo somos más fuertes.
Abre tu cuenta Enlace Personal, Enlace Digital o Mujer Banorte sin costo. Manéjala desde tu celular con Banorte Móvil. Y con ella tendrás acceso a todos nuestros canales. Solicítala ya en tu sucursal o en banorte.com.
Banorte está donde tú lo necesitas.
Conoce la nueva tarjeta de crédito Selección Nacional. Llévate la playera de la Selección Nacional utilizando tu tarjeta. Recompensas con artículos oficiales y experiencias. 6 meses sin intereses en tus compras y más. Solicítala en tu sucursal, Banorte Móvil o banorte.com.
Bienvenido al equipo Banorte.
A todos nos gusta que nos valoren. No importa si es a través de un gesto o puntos para comprar, certificados de regalo, artículos gratis y viajes.
Con tus tarjetas de crédito Banorte, tus decisiones tienen más beneficios. Disfruta del programa de lealtad más completo. ¿Y tú, qué tarjeta de crédito Banorte necesitas?
Lo que quiero me lo compro en el Hot Sale. Si me olvido no importa, luego llega el Buen Fin. O me lo regalo en diciembre, de mí para mí.
Con tus tarjetas de crédito Banorte, tus decisiones tienen más beneficios. Un mundo de promociones todo el año. ¿Y tú, qué tarjeta de crédito Banorte necesitas?
Qué placer viajar con ventajas. Esperar tu vuelo súper cómodo y luego abordar sintiéndote muy especial. Acumular recuerdos, sonrisas y millas.
Con tu tarjeta de crédito Banorte United, tus decisiones tienen más beneficios. ¿Y tú, qué tarjeta de crédito Banorte necesitas? Banorte, el banco fuerte de México.
En Flux Growth, somos aliados para impulsar el crecimiento de las empresas. Configuramos nuestras soluciones financieras para atender las necesidades de nuestros clientes de manera integral, a través de arrendamientos y líneas de crédito, así como nuestra nueva plataforma digital para el factoraje. Flux Growth, innovación financiera para un mejor futuro.
Ven a tu tienda AT&T y arma tu plan AT&T Ármalo en 4 simples pasos. 1. Elige el smartphone que más te guste. Págalo a 24, 30 o 36 meses y olvídate de los intereses. 2. Selecciona los gigas que deseas para navegar. 3. Elige tus redes sociales favoritas. Por último, agrega a tu plan las apps de streaming que más te gusten. ¡Listo! Así de fácil es armar, estrenar y navegar con lo que más usas. AT&T Ármalo, tu plan como tú eliges.
AT&T, cambiemos el juego.
Well, here we go into the jump-off for this Vector-sponsored jump-off class. And it is fence 8 to start us off. From there, it is 9A, from 9A to 11, 11 to 12A and B. And so from the style down to 12A and B. Then back to fence 6 in the center, 2. And then what was 5B in front of the VIP is now the reverse for fence 15. Eduardo de Menezes to go first. Javanta C, the 11-year-old for the H5 team. And looking for a little recompense after just missing out on the Grand Prix the other day. This isn't quite as big as money, but he'll pick off a good few classes this week to make up for it, I'm sure.
Yeah, I'm sure. Just so close in that 5-star Grand Prix. Only 3 of them going through into the jump-off, of course, and Lily Keenan being the fastest there. In fact, the only double clear, I believe, as well.
Again, that's going to be the danger there. It just gets fast and forward and starts flicking poles. The skinny is going to be so easy to take down once they start running down there. Sometimes they change the material for the longer material, but left as it is, goes back to 2, just to tuck inside the bushes, and then on down. This will be the last fence on course, finishing on a score of 8 over the birdhouses to finish off at 39.48 for Eduardo de Menezes and Javanta C. Tough job as the first to go. First of 13 there, so 12 more to take a spin. Prize money of $55,000+ in this class. Eduardo giving his time 39.48, but a couple down on the way. Ignacio Morin of Argentina, Franco 79, and a 9-year-old here, Westphalian by Firth of Lawn, has looked very good. Now has a chance to really test the buttons, just has a little look at the style.
Yeah, just making sure he's got his lines there. Some good tight turns from Eduardo, 39.48. I do think we could see that go a little bit quicker, but crucially the fences have to stay up. I'm sure we will see some double clears coming forward here, but Ignacio Morin, another rider who is quite on form, and has had some very good results recently, so I'm sure he'll have a foot to the floor.
Just gets a good inside turn. A lot of this as well is also going to be about turning in balance, because it's a little bit less of a galloping one, because exactly that's going to happen. As I say, interesting they've left the style in as it is. Just on the 4 then, he's going to pick up here. This is where you can get a bit of a chase on around the arena. And it's going to be a tight turn back up here past the bushes to fence 2. And then the last. Improves on the score of the previous because he's on 4 rather than the 8, but 4 at 40.69, just on the 1 down for Ignacio Morin. And Franco 79. It's plenty of turning in this one. As I say, a little less of the up and down gallop, different styles as we saw last week. Well, Federico Fernandez, Romeo for the first of the bigger Mexican challenges. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 for Mexico. Romeo for himself, 11-year-old French-bred stallion by Lando for Federico. There's very good Grand Prix wins in the last few weeks, and here last week too. Just holds for a moment.
Very good result for him in the 5-star Grand Prix last week, as you say, and this class is a very good precursor to that. We're going to see a lot of the similar combinations in this competition that we might well see in the 5-star Grand Prix. Just having a spin around and a chance to get a jump off ticked off before they then tackle the Grand Prix.
A little bit of elbow movement down to 9, getting things going. Just wait. Got it. Patience the key down there. Now off and running. It's the only bit they can really get a big gallop in, but again, just got to be ready to for a spin back to 2. This is very efficient so far.
Really good turn back to 2. We've seen quite a few taking a very tight line there.
Oh, steady. Props nicely. There you go. 42, 48. A little bit steadier than the times that we've seen so far, because we've seen down to 39, 48 there. But he leaves them up. That's the key. That's how the game works. Stays on the 0 and goes ahead for Federico Fernandez and Romeo.
I thought that looked quicker actually than 42, 48, but he obviously made up a little bit of time with his turns, but just taking I think the early parts a little bit steadier.
Yeah, so anyway, Carlos Sancarrero will take a spin at that leading time. Now H5 Turbo Z, this too could live up to the name as well. For the H5 Sport Horses, for the Hank family. 13-year-old by Thunder van der Zoether with the 22-year-old rider.
No issue here now with the extending shadows over the arena as the light's just gone down behind the top of the mountains that just frame this arena.
Clean across the skinny. Just steadies in there sensibly. Now moves it up a gear, and again has just got to keep it on a curve here. It's just not it's not a straight run. Just has to be careful of the plank here. Neat pop over that. And then get themselves back. This is keep the balance. That's really tight
Very
up
tight too.
And now they can go. Time is going to be in the 40s, interestingly. 41.52. And going clear there for Carlos Sancarrero on H5 Turbo Z. He'll take the lead so far, gets ahead of Federico Fernandez. But as we say, we saw down to Eduardo de Menezes on 39.48. So still maybe a little bit of wiggle room in there at the moment. Bliss Hears, Antidote de Mars. See how deep into the well they go for this pair at the moment. Probably also with a thought on the Grand Prix, but that's a few days away on Sunday. Chance here to pick up some good prize money. Bridgeside Farms 12-year-old Grand Prix winning combination from San Miguel.
This is a great combination for a jump off, really one that you wouldn't want to bet against. This horse can turn very, very quickly, and Bliss is already getting a good pace up as she heads to the first fence. What she does so well is just to keep that consistent pace up. What a shame just to have the second fence.
Just on the 4 for them. So another big contender stays out the way. Carlos Sancarrero will keep the lead, but a lot to come on the list so far.
Good turn back again.
Yeah. Just going to finish on the 4:42.12 on the 4 there for Bliss Hears and Antidote de Mars.
4 points, 42-12 for Bliss Hears and Antidote de Mars. In the arena from Ireland, Shane Sweetnam with Namaste Van der Eyck.
Shane Sweetnam now, Namaste. This is one to keep a very close eye on their route.
Yeah, interesting that Shane comes here this week. Of course, wasn't here last week, but I'm sure this is a rider that a lot of the others will have their eye on because he can be so fast and so very, very competitive. Just takes a look around that turn, as I'm sure many of them are doing as they come into this ring. Oh, what a shame.
He's just getting forward and getting ready for a run, and unfortunately just flatter at that fence than he would have wanted. Just gets stretched out at the first.
time's looking good though. I think he's just eased a bit off the pace, having had that fence down. So 44.2.
So Shane Sweetnam, not to be for him. And so still leaves Carlos Guerrero in the lead, Federico Fernandez second, Ignacio Morin in third, Luis Pedro Berben, Chaco Bumpy, the next of the Argentinian challengers. Argentina currently in third with Ignacio.
Have a good few riders who've got several horses here. Luis Pedro Biraben doesn't have quite so many on the 5-star competitions here this week, but certainly is a horse that, as you can see, turns well.
Oof.
Oof.
That's gone. Thought it almost got away with it, but unfortunately not. It's going to be fast. This could get under the 40 mark, as we've seen already, and chases home at 39.48, and exactly the same time as Eduardo Menezes, who was running 39.48, hence the term exactly the same time. But still leaves him further down the order with the fence down there, giving a good shot there for Luis Pedro Berben. Goes into third so far as the fastest of the fours. We've got two double clears at the moment, Carlos Guerrero and Federico Fernandez, so the clears definitely of premium. Eugenio Garza now, Contago. Aboard this 11-year-old by Konrad Obolensky. Will be a very good horse for them this week with some big money classes. See how much they can chase down. That's set by Carlos Hanks so far. Every chance of doing that. Gets there on the 6th, little move in to the left, and it's going to be about efficiency. It's going to be about the tight lines, the balance and the care around here. Steadies into the double. Now he can move it up as he lands. He goes. Has the horse underneath him very neatly. Good compact package. And immediately takes the pace off. Gets there. There's a good bit of
great turn.
Good bit of work that's been done at home as well. Just in the practice has paid off there and gets him home at 40.08. So into the lead he goes for Eugenio Garza and Contago. All about the balance and turning. And, well, there we go. Ballerina's his way into the lead. Mexico's Eugenio Garza and Contago on 40.08. Very efficient, has not left much. And our next rider is already having a little practice of that turn around the bushes. Alberto Sanchez Cozar, Catova.
Yeah, having these bushes in the arena isn't really something that we saw last week, actually, so it sort of adds a little bit of something more, especially being on either side of that fence, well, just the placing of them.
Yeah, they tend to set a fence in it, so this week Gregory saw a little bit different, so using it as an island there for them a little bit. Used to be a hedge in there, but that was removed going way back. Days of derbies, etc. Getting older, I've got some history about it. So Catova, winners of a similar class in Atomi 2 weeks ago. Able to take that at speed and leave it up. Now they're chasing. Again, you don't want too much speed here because it's about getting the tight. Yeah, that's what happens.
Yeah.
Because you've got to come so tight back on this. Eugenio was absolutely right there. And again, as I say, I was referring to that as a sort of exercise that some would do at home just to get used to the bending and the turning, and that's why it's done there. Finishing on the 8:39.19 It's the training transferred to the field, but unfortunately it's going to be 8 there for Alberto Sanchez-Cazar, giving it a good run with that cut over. And Stretch is over that final fence, but not to be for them. Coming into our final few with our Toro Parada, Wisconsin PS is the 9-year-old for the man who finished top 3 in the Grand Prix here last week. Really good first round. Looking to maybe make up some of that ground from last week's good finish, but not quite perfect jump-off round. Hold. Got it. Oh, falls into that one. So he's going to be on the 4. Top of the tree, Eugenio Garza and Contago on 40.08. And again, just as the pace starts to come into it.
It's just hard to keep the accuracy when the pace is going up, of course. Like that.
There we go. We'll take them to a score of 8 then, 41-41 for Toro Parada and Wisconsin PS. Eugenio, Carlos Sancarrero, Federico Fernandez. Mexico, 1, 2, 3 in our jump-off class so far. USA's Kyle King, Etalon, last week's winner of this class. Different course, different style, different day.
He was very impressive here last week, and really decisive victory in this same competition. He was also pretty quick around parts of the first round here. He's eyeing up those turns as well already.
It's a good outside line there, cuts in as they all have. Just got to take care here, hurdles it. Balance of the pace, and then go again. And this is where it's pop in, pop out. Neat back, even a little wider though, I think, than Eugenio. Has got to go 40.08. He might just squeak this. He might just get there. He is going to get there at 39.24. He kept up just a little bit faster pace maybe than Eugenio. Really efficient, was able to go just a tiny bit wider there maybe, but has got good foot pace and goes into the lead looking again. So looking for a repeat this week for Kyle King and Etalon. Eugenio Garza in second, Carlos Sancarrero in third, Federico Fernandez in fourth. Vanessa Mannix, final one with the 9-year-old Kingston on this British bred ride. We'll see what her strategy is here. Again, with a 9-year-old, hasn't had too much chance to test them over a track like this before now. It showed they had big jumping Grand Prix ability 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, one of their best performances of their careers so far. Kingston and Vanessa Mannix absolutely on form. Then again, so is Kyle King with Etalon, and he very much likes this class. It's really incredible that he won last week and then now is sitting in the lead again. But Vanessa Mannix, I'm sure, will give him a run for his money. So good
turn, gets a little close, gets over it, just takes a little bit off the pace in doing that. Still a very good round, and they're going to be home in 41.53 for Vanessa Mannix and Kingston to go into fourth place in the end. It's a repeat of last week. It is Kyle King, number 1, Etalon, king of the class. with the US rider at the #1 spot again, 39.24. And Eugenio Garza, super round, but in second with Contago on 40.08. Carlos Sancarrero and H5 Turbo Z finishing into third spot, fourth for Vanessa Mannix. And Kingston, as you see from our leaderboard, fifth in the end, Federico Fernandez and Romeo. Sixth to Luis Pedro Birroben and Chaco Bumpy. Seventh, Ignacio Morin, Franco 79. Completes our top 10 with Bliss here, Shane Sweetnam and Alberto Sanchez Cozar. But well done. It is 2 of 2 for Kyle King here on the big first day classes, claiming the Vector 5-star today for Kyle King of the USA and Echelon. They will pick up the trophy.
Resultado de la prueba Vector. First place for Kyle King with Echelon from USA. Segundo lugar para México con Eugenio Garza y Contago. Tercer puesto para México con Carlos Sanz y H5 Turbo Z. Fourth place for Canada with Vanessa Mannix y Kingston. Quinto lugar para México con Federico Fernández y Romeo. Invitamos a estos 5 primeros binomios a acercarse para participar en la ceremonia de premiación en la pista 1. Sexto lugar para Argentina con Luis Pedro Birroben y Chaco Bumpy. Séptimo lugar también para Argentina con Ignacio Maorín y Franco 79. Eighth place for USA with Liz Hurst and Antidote de Mar. Ninth place for Ireland, Shane Sweetnam with Namaste and Eikeberg. Décimo lugar para México, Alberto Sánchez Cozar, 14. Undécimo lugar para Brasil, Eduardo Pereira de Menezes, que avanza 6. Décimo segundo lugar para México, Arturo Parada y Luis PS. Y décimo tercer lugar para México, Juan José Sendejas y Dino La Chapelle. Reiteramos la invitación a Kyle King, Eugenio Garza, Carlos Kahn, Vanessa Mannix y Federico Fernández a acercarse a la pista 1 para proceder con la ceremonia de premiación. Estamos listos para la ceremonia de premiación de esta prueba Vector. Quinto puesto para Federico Fernández y Romeo. Cuarto lugar para Vanessa Mannix de México en Kingston. Tercer lugar para Carlos Kahn y H5 Turbo Z de México. Segundo lugar para Eugenio Garza de México en Cartago. Y el primer lugar, first place, for Kyle King from USA with Etalon. Invitamos a Kyle King, Eugenio Garza y Carlos Han a desmontar para pasar al podio y continuar con la premiación. Honra con su participación en esta ceremonia de premiación la señora Lisette Valdés. Entrega de trofeos. Tercer lugar para Carlos Han de Moto H5 Turbo Z. Segundo lugar para Eugenio Garza y Cartago. Y primer lugar, first place, Kyle King with Etalon from USA. Invitamos a la distinguida concurrencia a ponerse de pie para el himno de los Estados Unidos. Please stand up for the United States of America National Anthem. A continuación, el tradicional brindis de los clasificados. Carlos Hank, Eugenio Garza escoltan a Kyle King. Cheers, Mr. Kyle King. Salud, Eugenio Garza y Carlos Hank. Los invitamos a retornar a sus monturas. Vamos con la vuelta de la victoria encabezada por Kyle King de los Estados Unidos y Etalon. Please, Mr. Kyle King, lead the lap of victory. Fuertes los aplausos para Kyle King y Etalon, Eugenio Garza y Cartago, Carlos Hank y H5 Turbo Z, Vanessa Manix y Kingston, Federico Fernández y Romeo. Fuerte los aplausos, Mr. Kyle King. Please, second round, because you are the winner of this class. Una segunda vuelta para el ganador de esta prueba, Vector. Fuerte los aplausos. Kyle King y Etalon de los Estados Unidos, primer puesto en esta prueba al 1,50 m. Thank you so much, Mr. King, and congratulations.
We have a new leader